Press review now on the programme. Emily's with us today. She's starting off with big news coming out of the UK. This is the story we covered yesterday morning. In the end, the Supreme Court did rule that the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. How have the papers been covering this, Emily?
Well, it's the story that's basically on all of the front pages of the British press today. Let's start with the right-wing tabloid, the Daily Mail, which is quite happy with the result. They call it a historic victory for women and common sense. Now, the Daily Telegraph headlines with "Trans women are not women." They also have this photo of two activists from the gender-critical group For Women Scotland, clearly celebrating their win in front of the courts there. And this photo was used widely all over the press. The Independent takes a slightly different angle on their front page. They're looking at the consequences that the ruling might have for trans women, calling it a blow to their rights. It says that it could set a dangerous precedent that erases protections for trans people. On the Guardian's website, there's this explainer looking into the implications of the ruling. They explain here that it could mean that transgender women with a gender recognition certificate can still be excluded from single-sex spaces if it's considered to be proportionate. The policy areas affected include gender in sports and the armed services, hospitals, and access to changing rooms and women-only spaces. Finally, on this story, The Times had this Hamlet-inspired cartoon, 2X or not 2X? That is the question, making light of the Supreme Court's slight fascination for chromosomes.
Oh, very nicely put. Now to the US. The New York Times has an article. It's discussing divisions in Donald Trump's administration.
Yes, the New York Times has this very interesting long read today. Trump waved off Israeli strike after divisions emerged in his administration. It reads, the article says that Israel had planned to strike and destroy Iranian nuclear sites as soon as next month. Initially planned as a commando operation, Israeli officials later proposed a bombing campaign, which would have lasted several weeks and needed US assistance. But the attacks were waved off by Donald Trump in favor of renegotiating with Tehran to limit its nuclear program. It says Trump made his decision after weeks of bitter internal debates. The article highlights the fault lines between historically aggressive US cabinet officials and other aides who were more skeptical that a military assault on Iran could destroy the country's nuclear facilities and avoid a much larger war.
Got more on that Haiti story for you now, that important anniversary. How are the papers covering that one?
Well, let's start with the Haitian papers that are covering this today. The Nouvelliste had this opinion piece today saying that Macron must address Haiti on the anniversary of what it calls the ransom of independence. If not, it says Haiti risks another war with its old colonial rulers. Now, back in France, the French paper L'Humanité dedicated a lot of its pages to this story and the commemoration of the 200 years since France imposed the chains of debt, as it says on its front page, on Haiti. It describes in this two-page spread here how France demanded on the 17th of April 1825 that Haiti pay compensation in exchange for its liberty and independence as a nation. The article calls it blackmail, which still hangs over Haiti's politics and economy to this day. It says that Haitians will be waiting to see how it will be commemorated in France and what will be said, and that questions still need to be answered about when it comes to memory and reparation.
Emily's taking us now to Switzerland. Two climbers there have broken a speed climbing record. What's this about?
There's this extraordinary story in the Times happening in Switzerland. Two mountaineers have scaled the murder wall and smashed the three-peak record. The murder wall here is the notorious north face of the Eiger, which takes a normally crazy person 1 or 2 days to climb, but takes these crazy people about 5 hours. They then climbed the north faces of the Monk and the Jungfrau. The photos in this article are really stunning. This is them on top of the Eiger. They started at 1 o'clock in the morning. The Swiss-Austrian pair smashed the previous record of 25 hours by finishing their three-peak climb in 15 hours and 30 minutes. And what's even more impressive, Stuart, is that they even had time to stop and share a few chips on their way up.
Wow, those are very impressive pictures. Thanks for bringing them to us, Emily. From the heights of our own planet to the fringes now of our solar system, Emily's bringing us news that scientists might have found signs that we are not alone.
Yes, well, don't be alarmed, Stuart. This is not news that the alien invasion has started, but it's still very cool news in the New Scientist here. This article says that astronomers have found the strongest evidence of alien life so far. It says that the James Webb Telescope has picked up signs of molecules that can only be produced by living organisms. They found these chemical footprints on the exoplanet K2-18b, which is 124 light years away, so pretty far. But if we are going to make the commute to visit our alien neighbours, Stuart, we're going to need a snack along the way. And don't worry, I bring you news today in Nature that a team of Japanese scientists has grown alien-looking chicken nuggets in a lab, which means that we're one lab chip away from a Happy Meal to take on our next space odyssey.
I wonder what it tastes like. I bet we couldn't tell the difference. That's the difficult bit, isn't it? Thanks very much. That's dinner tonight sorted anyway. Emily Boyle with the papers on France 24. A lot more coming up for you after the break.